Alright, hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Welcome back to my marathon series. I am so excited. I'm loving creating this series and just like sharing my whole marathon experience. It kind of feels like a little like video diary, which I'm loving, and I feel like I'm gonna love looking back on this, especially when I'm preparing for Chicago. Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying it too. I hope you're well. I feel like before we just like dive into everything marathon training and just like reflecting on the week, I feel like I want to reflect on like some other parts of my week that have been really exciting. So if you don't follow me on social media, you wouldn't have heard that I shared my first partnership for London Marathon 2024, which is Coros. I'm not wearing it right now because I only wear it when I'm running. I'm actually not wearing a watch at all at the moment because I just got out of the shower. I'm so excited, and I'm gonna be wearing the Coros Pace 3 marathon along with the heart rate strap. And I know I've been promising you guys a watch review for so long. I promise it's coming because like I want to compare all of these watches, and I really want to do like Apple Watch Ultra versus Garmin Forerunner 935 versus Coros, and having now tested two of their watches, which is like incredibly nice of them, have like a lot to say. And if you follow me on social media, you know that I had my ups and downs with the Garmin, and the Ultra was sort of like a new installment of like my watches and sort of just like fitness watches, but I promise I will do that soon for you guys. Today, I want to just share more about obviously the marathon training. Like I said, we're going to go through this entire week. I want to say as well that another really exciting part of this week was having JT on my podcast, which I don't know if the podcast, it should be out by the time that this video goes up, but JT is the category director for running footwear at Adidas. We met back in November when I was at Adidas HQ. If you haven't seen that vlog, you should go watch it, even though it's like 50 minutes long. I just love HQ. I love Herzo, and it's such a magical place. It's so cool. Like if you are a running snob like me, like it's just such a cool place to be. It's so cool to hear about like how everything that went into creating that shoe, and the fact that like their focus user group was everyday runners, and that when they surveyed those people and kind of like figured out like what gender makes up most of everyday runners, it's actually females, which is so cool. And it was just really great to have him on the podcast. I'm really excited to share that episode with you guys soon. It's just so good, and it's so interesting to hear like everything that goes into creating a shoe, and a shoe that I've personally been loving running in and doing my easy runs in. And so yeah, that's been really exciting. But let's talk about marathon training, and I'm going to talk about each of my sort of sessions, and I want to sort of like compare two of them week by week. But I feel like the big theme of today's video is going to be nutrition. And I know that I've done a video on here about nutrition and like my journey as a runner and nutrition. So if you want to go and watch that video, I'll have it linked below. But I think that I feel like most of us have probably at some point or another struggled with our relationship with food, or maybe you had an eating disorder like me. And you know, if you haven't, like great for you, like love that for you. But I think for most of us, we have to like constantly remind ourselves of the importance of nutrition. And I feel like I really had a moment this week where I was like, you failed. So hard today.
How's it going?
I didn't eat enough yesterday. And like I was very reflective of that. I was very open about that, and I want to share that to say like my training is not perfect. Like I am not perfect at this. And I feel like I had a really great talk with my coach, and this is one of the primary reasons why I love having a coach. I love my coach Sally. Shout out to Sally. She's literally amazing. And if you're Manchester based, you should 100% go to her Monday run clubs, because I'm so jealous that I can't. I feel like at the moment we are 10 weeks out from London Marathon, and this is like the point in time where we are really starting to ramp up on mileage. We've gotten a few marathon pace sessions under our belt. We are really hitting the track in those like interval sessions and doing a lot of speed work, and the mileage is slowly increasing. Again, I'll put in a little map of the my Strava graph here, but like it's so, I don't know if you guys are as weird as me, but like I find it so aesthetically like pleasing just how slowly but surely it's like increasing. But anyways, I feel like my coach and I had a moment this week where like I kind of went to her and I said like, my long run this past week, I definitely didn't do as well as I could have, and it really came down to nutrition. And I was super honest about that. I was super transparent and just said like, that was completely on me. I did not eat enough, and like, it's just crazy how you feel that in your training. And I am gonna share sort of like snippets, and I think like that'll kind of be like the starting point for just like going through the week. But I feel like that long run session was sort of like, that session was really like the catalyst for like going into this week and how I've really changed my nutrition and how I've like changed my mindset and like focused it more on just like getting more food in and getting more carbs in. And like, I feel like a massive difference that I felt and like in comparing two sessions was like, my Sunday long run session was not super successful. I mean, for one, like try to do speed work at Hyde Park at like peak time on a Sunday morning is like, would not recommend. I was also just like, it really felt like I did not have any more to give, and like that was really hard to push through. I only brought one gel with me, which like I feel like maybe I could have brought two, but I just feel like in the end it came down to like I needed to eat more, like period. And it like, I'll talk about it in the video. I think I took snippets from the long run where I kind of talk about like how I didn't eat that much on the Saturday prior. It was Chinese New Year and Gabriel and I were out in London. I had dumplings for lunch, but then like dinner, we went to see a show in the evening. And so dinner wasn't as well thought out because I kind of just like made a quick dinner and then did not think about like the fact that I was doing a long run with marathon pace the next day. And I felt it. So I feel like that was something that I was really reflective of and that I shared a lot about, and I'll like kind of share the clips from that long run. But then when I compare it to my Tuesday interval track session, that was like after just like going into the week and just being like, okay, we're gonna increase food. We're gonna really actually like focus on eating more food. Something that I think is really important that my coach talked about that I don't think is like talked about enough is like, it's really easy to fuel when you are running at like a very high peak mileage, like because your body's just like, I need it, and you just feel hungry all the time. It's harder when you are like at that point where you're slowly building up and you really almost have to like force yourself to eat. And I know that that sounds so weird, but like really when I think about it, like I should have forced myself to eat more on Saturday, and that should have just been like a mindset like, I'm running 13 miles on Sunday, I need to force myself to have some more food, eat some more carbs. And okay, hi, me again. I'm just jumping in. I am literally editing this vlog that's sitting on the couch. I want to jump in because something that I did not mention when I was recording this yesterday is that when I talk about like this notion that my coach was like speaking to me about and teaching me really around like when you are building in your marathon training and you almost have to like force yourself to eat more to allow yourself to fuel yourself so that you can go out and smash those speed sessions and like interval sessions, marathon pace sessions. Something that I do want to just highlight here is that something that I've been on, if I'm completely 100% pinky promise honest with you right now, I have been dealing with a little bit of just bad body image, I guess, if that's like the best way to put it. And like an element of this is being aware and sort of like noticing that I have put on weight. And I know that like weight is a very sensitive topic for almost everyone. It's very sensitive for a lot of people. So I want to tread carefully here, but I just want to share that like there's been a lot more talk in the running world about like when you're marathon training and the fact that a lot of us do put on weight. Like you don't marathon train to lose weight because like you cannot train in a way that you were in like caloric deficit, and like it just doesn't equal, you know, positive, sensible, good training. And so I think that like with this journey of like food and learning to fuel and just like continuously learning on that journey, I'm also just like very aware of when I do have these moments where I am struggling a little bit with body image, and I'm struggling a little bit because I'm looking in the mirror and I see that I don't know, you can look at yourself in the mirror, and I think because like we know our bodies best and we see our bodies every day, and like I just know when I've put on weight, if that makes sense. Like I don't have to step on a scale to see the numbers necessarily, but like when your jeans fit a little bit tighter or like things fit tighter than usual. And I'm not gonna lie, like I'd say that last week and sort of like the past 2 weeks, it's like been something that's like been in the back of my mind, and it's been something that I've been like struggling and sort of like trying to grapple with and just like find a way to almost like combat these thoughts, because obviously that's not going to be helpful in my journey to wanting to get a 3:20 marathon. And so, you know, I'm gonna go into how I talk about like, you know, how I can see the impact of nutrition directly in my training with my track session this past Tuesday, but I just want to put this in here just to be like honest and realistic about like the fact that I still struggle with this, and I'm calling myself out. I should have been better last week, but like sometimes we just are not having good body weeks, and we're just not having good body image days, and you just become kind of inherently aware that you've put on a bit of weight, but like that's okay, because that happens sometimes during marathon training. And if that means that I am training and getting my way towards hitting a 3:20 at London Marathon, like that is worth it to me. That is worth it for me to have really solid positive training sessions. So that is a journey that I'm continuing to go on, and I just want to be open and honest about that. The way that I could tell that like my nutrition was the issue when it comes to my Sunday session was that Tuesday's track session was awesome. And you want to know why? Because we've been having rice every night. We've been more mindful and just being like, yep, we're doing rice. But like, it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't like super intensive, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And some people are quite intensive when it comes to like race day week, and they really like reel in the carbs, and they're having so many carbs for every single meal. And like for me personally, that's just like never really worked for me, and I've never really like focused or wanted to focus on like having a crazy amount of carbs. I don't think that your race week diet should be any different to your diet during the training weeks. And so what I'm figuring out is that rice the night before actually is really great for my session the next day. So I feel like that might be, I don't know, it used to be that my pre-race day sort of like night before meal was pizza, and I feel like it might change to like something with rice, like chicken with rice or something, because my Tuesday track session was solid. And like I again will go into detail and share about that, but I feel like at this point in time when I am sharing, we'll kind of like go into sessions now, and for the most part we have a pretty similar structure to what I shared in the last video. So I won't share about like every single session, I guess. Like we do about like 2 easy runs a week. We have 2 like speedier runs, and then the rest of the time is either like at the gym or doing my 1 rest day. Having my 1 rest day I think is one of my favorite things, just having like a dedicated, I'm not doing anything rest day. And I feel like one thing I do want to touch on is like with the gym, I definitely am like getting into a groove of sort of like the moves that I do, and a lot of what I do is with the barbell, squatting, deadlifting, hip thrusts, but also like working on the Smith machine and doing like, I think they're called hack squats, and just like trying to focus more on building the knee strength, but also including like upper body work. So that was like today at the gym, I was focusing a lot of like sort of like a shoulder press, I think it's called, where you just like lift the weights above your head, and then just kind of like rows and just like tricep dips, but just like really trying to strengthen not only my upper body like arms, but my core as well. Not gonna lie, I tried to do Copenhagen planks at the gym this morning and I failed so bad, and I've only ever done this one other time when I was getting my biomechanical assessment done with brick programming, and I'll insert a clip here. Basically like tried to hold as long as I could, but like when I tried to do it this morning, I was like, holy shit, that is so hard. Like I couldn't hold it for more than like 10 seconds aside. So that's something that I actually kind of want to like challenge myself and just see like, can I just increase the amount of time that I can hold myself in a Copenhagen plank? Because a lot of runners actually do this move to help with just like overall core strength. And yeah, it's just something that I want to work on more. But like with the gym, I really am loving keeping it to 2 days a week. I feel like anything more is a bit much for me. And with like how much I want to focus on running right now, I am just like kind of loving that like ratio of like, I don't know, running days to strength days. Essentially, let's talk about, I want to start with last week's track session, compare it to this week's track session. And I wanted to do that important like comparison between my Sunday long run and this past Tuesday's track session. But I also want to talk about what this Tuesday's track session looked like versus last week. Last week was incredibly windy. The wind makes it really hard, so I feel like I'm pushing extra hard.
You got this.
Thanks. It was very hard to push pace, and I feel like this is something that last year me would have gotten very emotional about. And if you guys are new here, if you don't know me, I am a very emotional runner. I'm officially breaking up with my Garmin. And last year, I feel like it was because it was like the first time that I was really truly pushing myself. Like, I went sub 4 in the marathon for the first time at Manchester, and then suddenly my coach was like, yeah, I think you're capable of a BQ. And so with that comes a lot of speed work, obviously. And I have not known frustration like not hitting paces in a session, and I feel like that's something that has taken me some time to come to terms with and to focus on like running to feel rather than what's on my watch. And I feel like that's something that has been incredibly important for me in just like overall me getting better as a runner and just bettering myself, but also getting more in tune with my body. And so that's been something that's been really important. But I feel like the biggest takeaway from last Tuesday's track session, and I'll share some like stats on the screen as well as the workout itself. I'm gonna try and pull it up on my Strava. I also, by the way, am super open and transparent about my workouts on Strava, and I share, for the most part, like what my workouts look like week to week, just kind of share like the reality of like what I'm doing. But essentially last week's track intervals was a 2-mile warm-up, then 3 times 1K, and then 3 times 600 meters, and then 3 times 400 meters with a 2-mile cool down. I could not for the life of me push like past a certain point in my training, and I'll put like the stats on the screen. I'm looking at them on my phone right now. It's just from my Coros app. But like my fastest time was 6:44 pace per mile, and that was like me feeling like I'm giving it my absolute all. The craziest part is like, obviously, like I know myself and I knew that I was like capable of faster than that. But because of the winds, I just could not push past that. But then when you compare it to this past Tuesday and the absolute solid session that I had, my third set of 500, 400, 300, 200 meters. This is so hard, but it feels okay. It just, I know it's hard. It's just like that last bit that always hurts to push because you're like, I have a little bit left. So this was also just like such a crazy intense session because it was a 2-mile warm-up, then a 2K tempo before getting into 3 sets of 500 meters, 400 meters, 300 meters, and 200 meters with a 2-mile cool down. This was intense. This was a lot. But like when I look at my stats, again, just like looking at the Coros app, my fastest mile, it was not only my last rep, which just like shows that I am getting a lot better at like saving that energy like throughout the session rather than like giving it my all in the first set and then just like not having anything to give the last 2 sets. But my last rep was 6:20 pace, and that was my fastest, but also it was like the last one, which I was super proud of. But for the most part, like everything sat between 6:20 to my slowest was 6:47, which like last Tuesday my fastest was 6:47. So like that just goes to show, and I know that the sessions are different, but like I'm just saying when you compare the two, it just goes to show that like not every session is going to be your best. Weather has a huge impact on your training. If you are an outdoor runner and you live in a place like the UK, people literally live in like places that have literal snow right now. I know that people also opt for the treadmill when weather is not that great. I am just someone that does not like the treadmill. My gym also only has like 2 treadmills, so I feel like I would feel bad to like hog it for the amount of time that I would need it. I just like going around a track and like having that experience, and yeah, that's just kind of me in a nutshell. But I feel like that session was super positive. I came away from it feeling so proud. Coach was so proud, and it just felt so good. Then the rest of this week is going to be a couple more easy miles. We've also got RIR Run Club, so I think I'll include some of those clips in next week's vlog or YouTube vlog because that's gonna be really exciting. You're going to Asics on Oxford Street, and we get to use some of their space that I've used before, so I'm always super grateful to Asics. But it's just a really great spot to kind of like drop bags. We also have goodies from lots of cool brands, so I'm really excited, and I'll include some stuff from that next week. But if you ever want to join any of my run clubs, I do one once a month in London, and it changes each month. We pick a random park each month. You can join via the Strava link in the description box below. And yeah, we always go at a pace that is with the slowest runners, so we're never leaving people behind, going at a slow social pace. It's not about like running a fast pace or anything. Like, the purpose of my run club is that we get to like run together, we get to catch up. If you've been there before, we get to meet new people if it's their first time, and just like make them feel really welcome. So that's kind of like the purpose of RIR Run Club. Now let's get to Sunday's session. So this was like, I took some clips and I'm gonna put them in after this, and yeah, it was a day. So essentially the workout for this session was a 2-mile warm-up, 4 miles at marathon pace, a mile recovery, and then another 4 miles at marathon pace, then a 2-mile cool down. This session was a lot, and like before this, the most that I've pushed with marathon pace or held marathon pace for consecutively was 3 miles. So this session we were changing it to be longer, obviously, and it's just like the whole purpose of that really is to like get your body used to that uncomfortability of like just like working on tired legs, and especially going from that 1 mile recovery to the second set of 4 miles at marathon pace. That is where you really like practice what it's going to feel like in the marathon. So like really, I think that that's sort of like the time that I like to focus on working how like I build that mental resilience for the marathon. And I always get questions around this, around like, how do you like get through, the wall, and like, how do you like mentally like push yourself through a marathon? I always say that it comes down to like building that resilience, building the mentality during your training. And like, I feel like you have to not only like think about this in the sense of like, think about this as if you're running in the marathon, in the race right here, right now. Also, I think for me personally, and this is like, it might be different for you, but like for me, something that really helps me, as stupid as it sounds, is I'll be like, it's like 2 miles down, I have 2 more to go, and then I can, rest, and I can go slow as I want in the mile recovery. And then it's just, 1 more set of 4. And I really have to kind of like, really like dumb it down for myself and say like, it's not that bad. It's not that serious. It's not that bad. And I do the same thing during intervals. I'll literally go like set by set and just be like, okay, that was the first set. We have 2 more sets, but like really it's like trying to give it a go in the second set, and then you'll be on the last set. And just like really trying to like bring that mentality of like breaking down a marathon into like 4 sets of 10K or whatever people say, like into your training, really helps me with mentality as well. So that was the session. I'll now sort of like include the clips from that session. I sort of tried to take clips whilst I was running through Hyde Park, so I hope you enjoy. Okay, 3rd marathon pace Sunday long run from Hyde Park. We've got 2 sets of 4 miles at marathon pace, but just warming up now, and I'll take you through it. Definitely messed up the first set a little bit, went out really fast for the first one. So it was 7:38, 7:51, 7:50, and 7:47. So I managed to get it back eventually, but now we're just resting before the next 4. My last 4 did not go to plan at all. It was 7:48, 8:01, 7:53, and 7:50. 2 were out of pace, which is fine. Like, I know that I just did not fuel enough yesterday, and it's a lesson learned for me, so I will take that into account next time. But regardless, I'm proud of myself for getting out there and trying. I will bet my heart rate was spiking through the roof. All right, and that's going to wrap up the vlog for this week. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope you were enjoying this series. If there are other elements of marathon training that you want me to touch on, I definitely can. Be sure to like and comment below what you would like to see next, or if you are marathon training, how your marathon training is going, because I feel like we're all in the thick of it right now, because it is spring and we are all training for spring marathons. And yeah, I am excited to continue to share this series, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.